Believe it or not, more on Donald Trump. You know, he made more headlines during his appearance at the NABJ. If you can't beat them, then question their ethnic origin, it appears. Rachel Scott, once again, asked Trump if he believes Kamala Harris was a quote-unquote DEI hire. Take a listen to his response.
Do you believe that Vice President Kamala Harris is only on the ticket because she is a black woman?
Well, I can say no. I think it's maybe a little bit different. So I've known her a long time indirectly, not directly very much. And she was always of Indian heritage, and she was only promoting Indian heritage. I didn't know she was black until a number of years ago when she happened to turn black, and now she wants to be known as black. So I don't know, is she Indian or is she black?
She is always identified as a black woman.
I
She went to a
respect
historically
either
black
one.
college.
I respect either one, but she obviously doesn't, because she was Indian all the way, and then all of a sudden she made a turn, and she became a black person.
Just to be clear, sir, do
And
you
I
believe
think,
that
I think
she is
somebody should look into that, too, when you ask continue in a very hostile, nasty tone.
Jesus. Ladies and gentlemen, the Vice President of the United States is multiracial. She has also been a member of the Congressional Black Caucus as a senator. She's a graduate of Howard University, an historically black college. So Trump saying what he said, it's just annoying. It's just annoying. You know, when we look at our original Constitution, what have you, and it talks about black folks being 3/5 of a man, for example. If you had a speck of black in you throughout history, particularly with white racists in America, at the very least in the past, you had a speck of black in you, you were considered black. So let's get that out the way. Number two, you're just looking at Trump and wondering, what in God's name are you trying to accomplish? And then I thought about what I said on Cuomo on News Nation last night with Chris Cuomo. And he talked about what was Trump's objective, what could he possibly be thinking by saying some of the things that he's saying. And one of the conclusions I deduced was that, you know something? You know, most of us, whether right or left, lean towards the center. We like compromise. We want to be reasonable. We want to make sure that there's decorum and professionalism and decency in our society. There are folks that operate on the fringes, and they squeal the loudest, and we hear them. And a lot of times, if you're thinking about Trump, as is the case with other politicians on both sides from time, to be fair, you want to appeal to your followers, your constituents, to make sure they know that you're still that dude. See, when you look at some of the American citizens that rally behind Trump, you know, Hillary Rodham Clinton was wrong when she called, you know, some of them deplorables and stuff like that. It was wrong. It's the wrong thing to say. Okay? Yeah, I'm telling you right now, each and every single one of us work with Trump supporters. We work alongside them. We work for them. We've used to work for them. We mingle with them or whatever. Everybody's not going to be honest and forthcoming about their support for him. But make no mistake about it, there's a whole bunch of people. You don't get 74 million votes and all of them standing front and center saying, yeah, he's my guy. No. A lot of them ain't going to say anything. They just go to the polls and they pull that lever for him. Or they press that button for him. Make no mistake, that's how it goes down. And so when we sit up there and we allow ourselves to engage in incendiary rhetoric for anybody that would support him because we think about some of the things that he says as opposed to a lot of the things that they believe he may have done, all we're doing is being transparent in our vitriol towards somebody else that could potentially do us harm. We don't know. Because they'll know how we think about them, and they won't admit it, but they'll say so quietly. But in the end, what I'm trying to say is this. You're Trump. What's the number one reason? Let's get down to this. What's the number one thing Trump followers love about Trump? You want me to tell you what it is? That he doesn't give a shit. That he talks smack about politicians on Capitol Hill, about the policies that they put forth, about a society that he believes they've contaminated. He's given a voice to the voiceless because there's a whole bunch of people, millions upon millions of people out there that felt that Capitol Hill and the residual impact it had on our society, they felt they weren't being heard and they were being cast aside. And then Trump comes along and he speaks their language. They don't want him showing decorum. They don't want him being respectful. They don't mind if he's a bit misogynistic. They don't mind if he's a bit xenophobic. They don't mind if he's disrespectful. They don't care because it's what they want to do. But why do they want to do that? Because they believe that folks on Capitol Hill have gotten away with far too much. And they don't want to hear compromise. They believe the degradation of our society as we've witnessed things transpire over the years. It's their fault. And Trump is going to sit up there and he's going to have control and he's going to make them march lockstep with him, or he's going to assist in getting rid of them. And they love it. And they love it. But what he said about the vice president, Kamala Harris, was wrong. It was off. It was disrespectful. It's no cause for it. Unless you believe it appeals to folks far more than we realize. And that's what Trump believes. And that's what he's playing towards. Now, after hearing of Trump's comments, Harris, of course, had her response at a campaign rally in Houston yesterday. Take a look.
It was the same old show. The divisiveness and the disrespect. And let me just say, the American people deserve better.
Yes, the American people deserve better. They deserve better than him acting that way. They deserve better than a petulant child disguised as a grown man running for the highest office in the land. But folks ain't trying to hear that because they're looking at how he's governed. They're looking at the economy. They're looking at security. They're looking at crime. They're looking at our borders. They're looking at all of these things. And that's what Trump should have focused on. Somewhere along the way, Kamala Harris is going to have to focus on that too, at some point. Now, as it pertains to Trump, Trump has repeatedly attacked his opponents and critics on the basis of race. He rose to prominence in Republican politics with false theories that former President Barack Obama, the nation's first black president, was not born in the United States. Birtherism, remember that? Because that's what it became known as, was just the start of Trump's history of questioning the credentials and qualifications of black politicians. Vice President Kamala Harris is the daughter of a Jamaican father and a former prominent professor at Stanford University, and had an Indian mother who was a biomedical scientist at the Lawrence Berkeley National Laboratory, both immigrants to the United States. Trump seems to have difficulty understanding that people can be multiracial. In some people's eyes. In my eyes, he's just going back to a familiar playbook. Because it works for him. That's really what it comes down to.